Welcome to the first ever episode that I want to talk about NFL. I've been waiting to do this for years and years, and I keep saying I'm going to do it next year. But I finally found my right hand man, another F1 expert who is a Dallas Cowboys fan. You know, it's okay. I'm from Detroit, so he's a Cowboys fan, but I love him to that. He's one of my best betting buddies in the space. We do F1 betting. We do the F1 MG podcasts. F1 Capper, what's up, man?
What is up? NFL begins. It's here. You smell that? It's fall. It's pigskin. We got
It,
Oktoberfest beer around the corner. It's
oh,
great.
the tailgate, the smoke of the barbecue, you can't beat
Yeah.
it. And us living in the north in Detroit, we're like used to losing, so we're here to party, you know. But this year,
Oh yeah.
it's different. We're coming for you. Kansas City, watch out. We are coming tomorrow night. But no, I know that you also said that you wanted to do this for a long time. I'm
Yeah.
happy
Yeah.
that we're doing this. This is going to be fun. We're giving out picks. We're not experts like some of these guys claim on the internet that they are. We're not, insiders for Sportsline or CBS. We're here to have fun. We love
hmm
NFL. We follow lines. We follow players. We follow news. So we're here to just give you our best takes on what's going to happen, and we're having fun here. And of course, we're going to win some money, right?
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah. I mean, you know, football, American football has been. That was my first love for any sport. That was it. Then came hockey, then came motorsports. So this is what I grew up playing. This is what I grew up, betting from with the kids back in high school, and then here I am as a degenerate actually playing against the bookies. So yeah,
yeah, man.
here we
And
are.
if you ever see us bet Detroit Lions games or Dallas Cowboys games, please don't bet them because
Just
there's always a
fade them.
bias in them. Yes, fade them. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
hold on. I will say, I have one rule. I have a very strict rule I have relaxed on since I met you guys because there's been just times where I'm like, wow, that should not be what it should be. But I have one rule. I don't like betting the Cowboys at all. I will
I'm the
not
same
do
way.
it. And I did it for a long time, for 10 years. But last year, I started diving into it because I mean, it's hard when you see a line. You're like, "Wow, why are the Giants like plus 9.5?" It's a division game. I get it. It should be like 7, right? So I'd go against my rule a little bit, but I wouldn't go hard in the paint. Just a little shekel on that thing. So
Yeah, yeah. No, that is how I am. I hate betting against the Lions. I hate betting for the Lions because I get like double hit at the end if they lose, and I lose my bet and they lose, and Sunday is even
yeah,
worse. Now I have to eat ramen noodles instead of steaks, so it's kind of like that kind of stuff. So
ramen's good, man.
it's
It's
good.
good.
It's good. It's good.
It builds your character in betting.
There you go. Yeah. No, and before we start, with the NFL season starting up, it's almost here. It's 24 hours away or less now. I want to show you how we're gonna kind of run the show. We're gonna every week we're gonna try and come out Wednesday or maybe Thursday. We will see, it depending on the schedule. But we're gonna try to come out and give out our two best picks each. We're gonna do our best underdog, who's gonna win. We're gonna
hmm
do like one or two over unders. Maybe we could do a little bit of parlay action for those guys who are chasing the long odds, and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're
Oh
you
yeah.
could keep track of the records. We will do the same if you want, but we're here to have fun and win some money. And before we start, any future bets that you've made? I have made a lot, and I'm posting them in the Discord at the F1 Money Gang and the Wagers Lounge. But any futures that you like so far?
You know what? I have not made any futures bets this year at least. I kind of stayed away from it for some reason. For one reason, I actually have books that are pricing them extremely higher than at least just the average lines that you might see at a MGM, wherever else. As you guys know, I live in Texas, so we're technically on different books. I'm just going to keep it at that. Um, so I didn't like the juice that you'd be paying. You're paying extra. It's not just my cup of tea to do that. But I'm
Yeah.
happy to go through them with you because there are definitely some that I did. Uh, okay, here's one I'll throw at you that was very interesting. We talked about it a couple months ago. The Green Bay Packers were 4-1 to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
There was all this hype with your Lions, all this hype with the Bears, and all this hype with the Vikings, which is understandable, right? They have JJ and explosive offense with him. But why are we're just discounting the Packers because they lost Aaron Rodgers? So for good reason, you should. But Jordan Love shouldn't be that bad, right?
No.
They still have a pretty good defense. They still have a running game. They still have pieces there that they can put together. I don't I think 4-1 was just too much. Like I didn't place it, but it was very interesting to me that they had that price the way it was. Um that was one of them. That it just kind of I was like, why is it so high for them? It's like they're pricing it like this is the same exact scenario as the Jags last year. Good roster, good coach. People were sleeping on that roster because of their performance from last year. It's overreaction.
Yeah.
So, um, wouldn't bet them. Just something that just came to mind when I remember just looking and surfing. But yeah,
Yeah, well, and that's the one thing that I can never bet for the Packers because I'm a Lions fan.
yeah,
But I do agree. I have a friend of mine who's probably gonna listen to this podcast. I'm gonna send him a link later. We talked about this all the time, and I was one of the people, and I have to go find out. I called a local Detroit sports station right before the draft, and I said I want Jordan Love in Detroit because I saw him playing in college. I know that he hasn't shown anything in the NFL yet, but we all forget that Aaron Rodgers also sat behind Brett Favre for what 3-4 years, and then boom, Aaron
yes,
Rodgers is history. And I hate Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers more than any quarterback in the NFL.
yeah,
Sorry, Packers fans and Jets fans now, but like he's just like a guy who just you don't like, as a Lions fan.
yeah.
But I feel like Jordan Love is cannot be worse than
He
uh,
can't.
than Rodgers was last year. They still have a pretty
Yeah,
good defense. They still have a good roster. They have young receivers with Romeo Dobbs, with Christian Watson,
yeah,
Jones, AJ Dillon. I like that bet. I think it's a good bet
yeah.
with the long odds.
Yeah, and this was actually one I'm almost considering still doing, which I probably don't have that much time to. Um, Carolina Panthers under 7.5 wins. Mine is showing around minus 120, and I'm almost willing to do that. How are we going to price this team at 7.5 wins? I know the division has Tampa Bay, which everyone already thinks is probably going to be one of the
Baker.
worst teams. Yeah, but like they still have to. I mean, in division is still going to always be tough, no matter how you look at it. I just don't. They don't have any weapons on offense. What Thielen, and then they have
Hey,
Mingo, who's a rookie, right? And
Miles
then who
Sanders
else
if
do you?
he's healthy for 2 weeks.
I mean, that's
Oh,
all you got. I mean, their defense is going to be pretty. I mean, I'm not going to say great, but Jace Horn, you got Burns, which Burns apparently is not happy there, which is a report that was coming out.
yeah.
Is he even going to play this weekend? If he doesn't even play this weekend, you should probably take that under 7.5. But that was one that was kind of striking. That like, wow, that actually shouldn't be what it is.
Yeah, and I'm kind of high on Bryce Young. I think that he's gonna have um a decent season. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna have a great season, but with the roster
Yeah, but
around him, I agree.
he
I
could
agree.
still have a decent season and get 7 games. But you're
Yeah,
telling me they're going to win 8 games
yeah.
in
No,
that sounds crazy to me. Like what? And Frank Reich, you got a whole new team.
everyone. Yeah,
I'm probably one of the minorities that still feels Frank can do it. Even though there's opinions on that. I just don't see that, man. I don't like you have the Packers priced at 7.5, although they're supposed to go over. but you have them at a
Yeah.
7.5 over under. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I'm totally with you on that. I think that that's one that's actually
Hmm.
it's a pretty good bet for like under 7.5. I like that bet. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you one that I'm about to be posting later in the Discord. And it's minus 125, and I hate putting minus 120s for a futures bet. You gotta sit in the books for 4 months, but I just can't see it losing. It's a two teams to not make the playoffs, and those are the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. Um, those are the two NFC East. I know you watch the NFC East more than anyone
I
else,
do.
but
I do.
I look at this last year. The New York Giants won so many lucky games with one score. The Commanders were not a good team. Yes, they did win like 7 or 8 games. I cannot remember how many games they won. But looking at this year, you have teams that are just even like look at the NFC. You have the Eagles, you have the Niners, you have the
Mhm.
Cowboys. Who I think the Cowboys are gonna win the. They're gonna compete with the Eagles, but like it's either gonna be the Cowboys or the Eagles. So you already have three teams. You have the
Mhm.
Saints, who I think are gonna win that division there in NFC South. Um, you have, which I think Seattle Seahawks can compete with the 49ers. You have the Seattle Seahawks. You have the winner of the Lions or the Vikings, I think, in the NFC North. You already have 6 or 7 teams there. So, and you're telling me that the Giants are better than any of those 7 teams or the Commanders. That means that for both of these teams to go in the playoffs, they have to be better than the Eagles and the Cowboys to make it out of that division. So I like that a lot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think obviously it's going to be tough to have all four make the
Yeah,
playoffs.
of
Some
course.
some teams got to give, right?
Yeah,
Definitely. mm, I mean, the Eagles are, they made the Super Bowl. They still have a talented effing roster, and I'm just still so sour that they got Carter at defensive tackle because it sounds like
we wanted him.
going he is going to ruin some lives in the trenches. That's for sure. I'm more bullish on the Redskins a little bit. I don't know. It's tough. I say Redskins. Whoops. Commanders. Um, the Commanders, they have a defense still. I will give them that. A lot of people are praising Sam Howell. I'm just on just I'm still middle of the line with him. Like, yeah, he could probably be very good, but this whole hype on him, especially in that one game where they beat the Baltimore Ravens, he was going up against third string players. I would hope you were going to go and put out those numbers that you put out, right? Like that should happen. Let's actually see him play against first string defenses first off.
Yeah. No,
So
I
I
totally agree. And if
yeah,
you look
like
at the Washington Commanders win total, it's set at 6.5. So
I still just I like Riviera as a defensive coordinator. I think he sucks as a head coach. I don't
no,
think he should be doing any time management, anything like that. He's a great motivator. He will bring a defense.
yeah,
You'll run through a wall for him, but I don't see it in that manner with the Commanders, which is why I do can see that them not making the playoffs there. And then with the Giants, it really comes down to Daniel Jones. Is he really legit? Is he the one that they think he's supposed to be? Because outside of that, they do have some talented pieces at wide receiver, at least young guys that they've drafted. Um, I mean, they still have Barkley. They have a running game.
yeah. But
Their
name
defense,
name one receiver on that team. Can you? I can't.
yeah. What's his name? Hyatt, the guy that they just drafted.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That's
So
that
like
tells me a lot.
I no, and I agree. It's what I think could happen is they will go out and trade for a player if they start losing some games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they have what's his name? Isaiah Hodges or
Yeah.
whatever, Sterling Shepard. They still have some of those guys. They know the
Darren Waller
offense.
is there now at tight end.
Yeah, and then Darren Waller is the
Yeah.
addition. But hypothetically speaking, what if they go out and get a Mike Evans? Does that elevate them? I mean, could they
Maybe
get him? I don't know.
he
But
does have it's his final year on the contract with Tampa Bay, so maybe
you know what?
it
What
could be a
was the
move.
price on that for both? You said two teams.
It's a two team. It's minus 125 to not make the playoffs. Giants and
Not make the
Commanders. Yeah, to not make it. Yeah, and
J-
and
yeah.
I'm just looking at. I'm more worried about the Commanders, like you mentioned, because I really don't rank the Giants that high this year.
Yeah.
Even though with Barkley and you already mentioned, I don't think Daniel Jones is an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry again, Giants
Here,
fans, listeners.
here's how your bet gets ruined, though. Here's how your bet gets ruined. Whoever overachieves in the NFC West, North, are going to be the one. Like, are the Bears really who they think they're going to be? Lions, Packers. Like, is it going to be a crowded division? If that's so, we all suspect the Saints are just going to be the only NFC South team that makes it out. Maybe Atlanta overpasses them, vice versa, whatever. It's looking like NFC West. Rams are not seem like they're kind of in shambles again. It sounds like, but then you have 49ers and Seahawks. So who's the one that's going to knock out those two teams? It's going to come from another division.
Yeah, no,
So
and
if you think the Bears, Lions, Vikings, and Packers all have a shot, then yeah, you might be onto something with that Giants and Commanders.
yeah, because I'm just looking at the Seattle and San Francisco are the two teams that are for me for sure gonna make the playoffs. San Francisco with the defense, I
I'd
don't
be very
rate.
surprised if they both don't. Let me put it that way.
And it could be. I'm not a very high on Brock Purdy, but there are some people who still like him. But I think that they still have the roster to make it into the playoffs. I
For
think
sure.
Seattle has a lot of talent. It's Geno's season again. He has proven that he could win games with the right roster, with the right team. The defense got better, and then like like the Eagles, the Cowboys. I do think Cowboys are a good team. They're gonna make the playoffs. I just like you said, the NFC
We
North is gonna be the biggest key, but
we just we definitely have our issues, ego issues, but defense is there. Hopefully the offense will pick it up this year. We'll see. Everyone seems to think that Dak is going to go and throw, 15 interceptions or whatever it is. You know what? I'd take the under on that. I just don't see that happening. I think this year he's actually got better wide receivers than he did last year. It does suck that he's losing Dalton Schultz. Also, the biggest key factor is the change at offense coordinator. Kellen Moore is out.
mm-hmm.
Will that be an addition by subtraction? Who knows? I do worry about McCarthy calling plays. And then we have Brian Schottenheimer, but they're saying like they'll have a good system in place to where they'll make Dak successful. And I
Yeah.
think they're going to probably use him less with these throwing options, which is going to make him either force the run or check down, or maybe more screen plays, which is going to reduce the amount of like force balls that he's got to throw down the middle.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it later about the Cowboys because I have a pick on the Cowboys, but
Ooh.
but that's my that's my futures bet. I have about 8 or 9 more here on my list.
Let's hear 'em.
Well,
Let's
I already posted a couple, but I haven't done my write-ups for the rest, which I'm gonna have to do tonight because the season starts tomorrow. I have
Yep.
Derek Carr over 3,500 yards. It's on Schazers. I think Carr, he has a year to prove it there. He knows, we all know that he's got the arm. I have the full write-up. I'm going to just list them. I'm not going to go over them. Donovan People-Jones over 500 receiving yards. We talked about that one a lot in the Discord. Deshaun Watson over on passing yards, 3,625 yards. Cortland Sutton is another one at the over 675. He's gonna be the guy for at least the next 3-4 weeks because Jerry Judy is injured.
I love it.
Sky Moore over 575 for the number one receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs. I know Kelsey's there, but Kelsey is injured for week 1, as we all know. Last year he had 900 yards. I think it was what I looked at Sky Moore. Um, CJ Stroud is the one that's a rookie that I'm the highest on from all the rookie quarterbacks in this year's draft, and it's over 3,050 yards, and it's at plus money on Bovada. CJ Stroud, I think, is gonna be the probably the most successful Ohio State quarterback in the league. He's not a run first quarterback. I like that one a lot. I have a surprise one in here. Ezekiel Elliott over 375 rushing yards. It's gonna probably be a sweaty one because we don't know
That
what
is gonna be sweaty.
because we don't know what kind of role he's gonna play in the Patriots.
You know you're rolling the dice on Bill B.
But
Right?
here,
And you know how he is.
but I did the research. I went back and I looked at because Bill Belichick, you just don't know what he's gonna do.
You know what? It's actually pretty good. Now that I think about it, but go on.
You're asking for Zeke to get you 17 yards a game, 17. That's it. Which we all know that if
But
you're
it may not. It may all. There might be a big chunk that happens. Like you know how he is with his running backs. Yes, we know Stevenson is going to be
the main guy,
that they're gonna
100%.
lean on.
Yeah.
But I think he understands to keep him healthy throughout the season. Like there's going to be games where he's like, you know what, we're going to throw Damian Harris, 20, 25.
They're totally fine
There
with
might
that.
be
Yeah.
a game where Zeke is actually getting 10 to 15 and he gets a nice chunk, right? Like
That's
50 to 75 yards in one game.
yeah, and that was the one thing that I was looking at it. I looked at the numbers last year. They split the carries, even though Stevenson was the main guy. Damian Harris. If you look at every
Yeah.
single game, they were both going at like 10, 11 rushes. One had 8, one had 5, one had 12, one had 9. So it was one of those where you're like, oh, you don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? So that was one that
Sure.
I really liked, and there's another one. And if if you're brave enough, and I'm not. But if I tell you the odds, Ezekiel Elliott to get 750 rushing yards is at plus 600. Plus 600. Maybe
It's a lot of yards, man.
I know
It's a lot of yards.
I know it's a lot, and that was I'm just saying like just sprinkle,
But if
just
an injury
sprinkle.
happens and he gets thrown into the mix, that's it. But yeah.
I mean, just do like a little sprinkle.
How much
like
was that? Was it 325? 325 yards? How much was that?
375 yards.
375.
And
How
it's
much
at
was that?
it's at minus 118. So
I kind of want to see this. Now you got me excited about these.
yeah, oh man, I've been looking at all of them, and there's a lot of maybe I spend way too much time with the futures bets, but yeah, that was something that caught my eye, and
It's a good one.
yeah,
I like that one.
and but yeah, so well, let's so tell me what you like for week 1. What's your best bet for week 1?
All right, so
I know it's early. We don't have to make it
It's
official.
early. No, I've already made this bet, and I've been. With me, if I see a number and I see something, I'm like, I got to take it. If I don't take it now, I'm going to be mad that it. Okay, so I have 2, but this one I started with Browns 2.5. I'm sorry. I don't think it should be 2.5. That shouldn't be 2.5. I know the Bengals are great. I know that Joe Burrow is the GOAT. No doubting that. He made me great money with betting his season last year. But 2.5 seems like that's just too much. Home opener. You're talking about you're giving this team, the Browns team, that has most of the same roster for the most part, and you got Watson for now full season. I'm not saying he's going to ball out or anything. Good defense. They tend to do great with calling their plays with Stefanski, and you got Nick Chubb too. On top of that, the Bengals don't have they're getting a Awuzie back at cornerback, and he hasn't practiced all year. So you're going to expect him just to come out and just be a shutdown to like Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore, who's their new weapon. I don't see that. I don't see it. I see them. And then Burrow, he hasn't practiced all year. They're like I'm sure you could throw him out there and he'll do just fine, but doesn't mean he's not going to be rusty. So divisional game. You know how I am with divisional games.
Yeah.
Banging my hands on home dogs. I love home dogs, especially on week one like this. That's who I just think that is going to be taken. And I think the bets are reflecting it. I showed the cash ticket splits, early cash ticket splits. I think we're about like 60% of the cash was on the Browns, while like 30% was tickets. So a lot of people are leaning. Casual bettors are betting the Bengals right now.
Yeah. No, and that's I did earlier in the year. I did like the Bengals, but I kind of like stayed away. I like the pick. I'm very high on Deshaun Watson, with a whole training camp, with a full off season, with the team training. I think that we're gonna see the Deshaun Watson at Houston. That's the Deshaun Watson that I want to see in Cleveland. I'm not a fan of the Browns, but I think that Cleveland deserves some positive
I mean,
reaction. So
they're not
it's
they still will play tough. They're not a crappy team,
totally
and
agreed. Yeah,
what the exercise that you can play, which is like if you flip the odds, right? If put them on a neutral field,
yeah,
you're telling me that it's going to be they're going to be like a 9 or a 7 to 9 point underdog at Cincinnati. I would be taking that all day regardless, especially with this roster.
agreed.
So yeah, of course I'm going to take the 2.5, and I don't think it stays at 2.5. I bet you this thing is going to be 1.5 and probably closes like around 1
Yeah, I can see
or
it.
even
We still got a couple of days until the weekend, and when the sharp maybe the sharp betters already spoke, but
Well,
we'll
yeah,
see.
tomorrow when limits open, you'll see there's going to be lots of movement, and I guarantee you that won't be at plus 2.5 after. I
Yeah,
just don't see it.
yeah. Nice, nice. That's a good pick. I like that. Well, the one pick I like, and I'm with you 100%. I always home dogs. Always take
Home
the home
dogs,
dogs. Always. It's
they're
they
barking.
they bark, they bite, they will draw blood, everything. But I'm gonna go with your Dallas Cowboys -3.
Oh,
Again,
oh, wow.
I don't think very highly of Daniel Jones. I don't think highly. They have the 27th or 28th offensive line rankings. They're not good. They can't move the ball. Like outside of Barkley, they're gonna have a hard time moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Dallas Cowboys defense is top two defense in the country. Three maybe. Okay, let's say top three with Eagles in
Pretty
there.
good, man. Micah Parsons could be MVP.
Micah
You
Parsons,
never know.
Trayvon Diggs. You got Stephon Gilmore. Let's not forget
Mm-hmm.
he's still very capable. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that the Dallas Cowboys, they have the offense. They signed Brandon Cooks in the offseason. They still got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. I love Tony Pollard. I think that
He's good.
he's a good back.
And little
Yeah,
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn. You cannot get wrong. And I cannot remember what offensive line rankings the Cowboys were at, but I still think they're like in the top because they did resign Zach Martin, right? I think that
Yeah, we
they
did.
resigned him,
We got Zach.
and I trust Dak. I don't think that he's gonna make as many turnovers as he did last year, as you already mentioned. I'm looking at the split in the money. It's pretty even. The line hasn't moved much. It went from 2.5
Actually,
to
it's moved in your
-3.
favor.
Yeah,
It's
it
moved
moved
in
by
your
half a
favor.
point.
But
Or
that's still a big deal, right?
yeah, and I think that it's a divisional game, and it's I don't know if it's a prime time. Yeah, it's always
Yeah,
on
it is Sunday
Sunday night. It's always on
Sunday
Sunday night.
night.
And what better game than having the Cowboys and the Giants? I think the Cowboys are gonna beat them. If you go back to like if this game, like you already mentioned, if this game is is in Dallas, the line will be a lot higher. I love the Cowboys here. I love the spot. I know you probably love this because it's your Cowboys, but
Well, it's funny you say that because when I first initially looked at it, I was like, "Whoa, why am I not taking the Giants?" Obviously,
that's what I
like I
said.
said, I don't bet the Cowboys, but I'd be like, "Well, maybe if someone wants that." And then I said, "You know what? Let me go back and look." And actually, there were stats that were being thrown out there in the past 2 days, even about Dak against the Giants, where he's like won some 9 or 10 straight against the Giants,
Yeah,
hasn't lost to them since. But then I went back to like last season. I was like, well, let me see like how many points did they beat them by in last season? It was 7 and 8 points. The Cowboys beat the Giants. And I was like, well, let me go back to 2021. Well, they beat the Giants 21-6 and then 44-20, right? Like they've been beating them beyond 4 points every time. Not to say it won't be close. I'm not going to advise on what you should take on a bet like this, but I'm going to love it when you back the Cowboys like that. Especially it gives me confidence that like maybe I get that win.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I think the Cowboys are gonna be a really good,
But in all
team. So
seriousness, but seriously, bias aside, there's a lot of overreaction to the Cowboys. I know this. I've lived it. I can be numb to that at times. I will know when to turn on my fan side. But the hate that they get just for being a Dallas Cowboys team, if you put a different sticker on their helmet, I guarantee you would be talking about this team as a wow, there you could be a Super Bowl contender. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, so no one take that out of context. But I am saying that put a different sticker, and I guarantee you would look at this team a lot differently. And you would probably sit there and say, at least Dak can do X versus all these other quarterbacks in the NFL. So,
yeah, no, we're on the same page. I like it. I already booked it, so that's probably my favorite pick so far for the weekend. I do have a couple other plays, like small,
yeah.
small plays, but I do like player props. But there's not many out since it's only being Wednesday night. And give me your best over under. I know we talked about it in the Discord. What's your favorite over under bet for the weekend?
You know what? We were just talking about this a second ago,
Mm-hmm.
or before the pod. I'm like you. I'm not crazy about over unders. It's a
Yeah.
hard market to tap. And there's just something about betting an over under where you're like rooting against both teams or rooting for both teams. That's
Yeah.
just not as fun, I guess you could say, from a perspective like that. But I actually like the under of 51 points on the Dolphins Chargers. I think maybe we're just overvaluing both teams' offenses week one. I mean, we're talking about this still being kind of like a preseason game. You got a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore who may not be on the same page a lot of the times with Justin Herbert and the offense. The offense is still learning. They even haven't had a lot of reps together as well in preseason, but at least in training camp they have. And I think that they might be conservative to begin with. I think that they've been punched in the mouth past few seasons that they need to protect Herbert, one. So how do you protect him? You're going to try to do boring stuff, which is run the ball. And you do have a pretty good running back in Eckler. I think that the under 51, I think it's at 51.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be my favorite over under right now. And that's one of the highest ones of the weekend, by the way.
Yeah, I mean everybody is expecting Tua to light it up with Hill, with Waddle, and Justin Herbert. As we all know, he likes to throw a million times a game,
Yeah.
racks up yards. I call, as my friends gonna listen to this podcast, we call him Stafford 2.0 because he just keeps throwing because he's always behind and just
Yeah.
so, I'm sorry Charger fans, but that's just how I see him. He's got talent, but I think that he's at the point. I don't think that Herbert will win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. I could be wrong. But I agree with you. I like that under. It's a good bet. I might actually go and bet it myself.
I think there's some I think I'm seeing there could be 51 and a half. So, if you can find 51 and a half. I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see it week one. Week one, 1 through 4, we're always talking about that. Offenses are going to still be sloppy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time for the offenses to kind of catch up. Defenses, it's easy, for them to just come in, hit people, play. They're going to make mistakes, blown coverages and whatnot. But it's a little bit easier for them to go out there and play their game versus offense that everyone has to be in sync. Everyone has to be in sync.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I like it. I'll bet it, and and like you said, I hate betting unders on a game that you want to watch a lot, and but when you want to make money, hey, I can't go wrong with it.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite over under, and it is an under, and it's probably going against the public because everybody is expecting to be a shootout. Is the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets? It's under 46 and a half.
Ooh,
Last I saw.
that's a good one.
Top 10 defenses. I do rank the Jets high with Sauce Gardner, Quinn Johnson. I think they're very very good defense. I know they have a lot of offense now with Aaron Rodgers being there. With Lazard, with Garrett Wilson, offensive rookie of the year. They both teams have a mediocre offensive line, as I would say. But even the Bills, the Bills have a top 10 defense as well. Hamlin is back, right? The whole hype about him being back. Everybody's gonna probably applaud him coming back. Josh Allen is a turnover machine. How many times he turned over the ball in the end zone last year? At least 5, 6 games I've watched him. Unless he fixes turnovers, I can see a low scoring game. Maybe like a 21-20 or 17-20 type of a game. That's how I see it. I can't see it going over the 46 and a half. That's how I like it.
And yeah, and if you're, so tell me this: is this one of those where we talk is in a correlation here? Because home dog, New York Jets.
They are.
Like, do you think this is a correlated parlay with the Jets?
Yeah, that could be one of those, and that could even be a taser piece. Take the Jets plus 7.5 and the under 53.5, and you have your minus 120, and you have a nice little taser there.
Man,
But if you want to,
if
of
it
course.
if it was three, I'm now more into, if I'm gonna do a teaser, I want it at that three,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
so
can
you
get
could
the
go over that.
and so
Yeah,
I can get the, yeah. I for some reason I've just been like that, but I might be eyeing that one. I hate to say it in that same game. The reason why I bring that up is I'm starting to warm up a little bit to. I hope this is not the Hard Knocks effect, but I'm starting to warm up to the Jets roster a little bit more. I do agree the Bills, they do have a good defense, but they do have some struggles at times on defense, right? Bend don't break, kind of, let them run over us, but let's not break in the red zone. So which goes into your under thing, right? Which, if that's the case, then maybe they're going to get more field goals. Uh, I kind of want to take the Jets at 2.5. I'm not doing it yet. I
yeah,
feel like that line will drop to 1.5 because the public's going to start chasing their bets as soon as all of us lose on Sunday. But
yeah. It is a
and
Monday
that's why
night
I'm
game.
kind
Yeah,
of, do I just take the 2.5 because it's not going to move. I don't. If it goes to 3, people are going to slam that. They're
a
just
hundred
going to slam
percent.
that all day
Yeah,
plus 3.
I
So
agree.
I think this is the best it gets. Do I just take it? Or do I just say, let's have a fun little correlated parlay? Let me do the under into 2.5s.
Yeah. Hey, you could go either way. Either way. So that'll be an exciting game. I know that will be one of the most watched games, on the weekend. With Aaron Rodgers being in New York now, there's so much hype over in this off season. So, and talk to me about your favorite moneyline underdog. Who do you think is gonna make an upset this week?
Man, before the line moved, the
Mm-hmm.
first team that came to mind were the Steelers. Like,
Yeah, okay.
the Steelers, I feel like, could be that team that's just gonna go and punch the Niners in the mouth, just right then and there. But it has moved. It's almost to even. I'm looking at right now.
I'm seeing it plus 112 on FanDuel right now.
So that's
But
that's still pretty good because it was at plus 125
um,
earlier. Um,
I
but
could
let
tell
me let
you.
me throw let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
throw another one. Let me just go see, because there was one that I you know what? I was gonna say the Raiders at first,
That's a good
but
one.
isn't Chandler Jones having? I don't know. He's having some problems with the team, so I
Yeah,
haven't
I
read the
heard.
news. I haven't kept up too much, so I said probably not the right move to do that. Um, but
But
yeah, I think it's, if I had to pick, it would be definitely Steelers, or the Titans.
Or the Titans. Titans,
I
they
actually think the Titans. People are not talking about them for good reason, but it's not like they have such a, they at one point, right? They were making the playoffs. I know they had a
every
crappy
year.
season last year.
Yeah.
Tannehill should be fine. I mean, we haven't heard any reports of anything like wrong with him, so he should be back. He should be hopefully back in that offense. And but Traylon Burks is not around, so maybe we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But they have D Hop, right? I think he could still ball out. So
Yeah.
you still have Derrick Henry. He's healthy. That might not be a bad play right there. It wouldn't surprise me if the Titans just outright beat the Saints, because the Saints right now, they, they got a new quarterback. Who's to say that they're going to just gel right away?
Yeah,
No
you never know.
Kamara.
I did draft Kamara in a couple leagues, so I need him to be back soon. So I need him bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. Well,
But
I
I would say
will.
those two.
Yeah. No. No. That was actually one of my two that I liked. It was the Steelers. Even after the news with Nick Bosa resigning, I still don't think very highly of Brock Purdy. I like that a lot. Mine is actually
Mhm.
one you already talked about. Cleveland Browns. I think
Oh, there you go.
they're
I saved the
plus
best for you.
they're plus 116 at home. Yes, we already know. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T Higgins. Yes, they have the firepower to put up points on the board at will. I totally agree
Yeah.
that. I just think, like you said, divisional game at home, the season opener, brand new Deshaun Watson. I still have a lot of high hopes with him. And don't forget, we're not even talking about probably the top running back in the league, Nick Chubb. Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor is gone. Nick Chubb is gonna have an breakout season again, because he has had a breakout season every year he's been in the
Huge
league.
season. Yeah.
We don't talk about the Cleveland Browns, how good of a roster they have. So
Yeah.
that'll be my Moneyline Underdog home plus 116, the Cleveland Browns. That's the one I really really like.
Love it.
And
Love it. And I now have to I feel like I'm obligated to play the money line.
to
I
bet.
think
And
someone else in the Discord said they played the money line, or maybe that was just you. So,
well, I don't know. It could have been Mac or somebody else, but if you shop around, I think that Bet Rivers had it at plus 120. Golden Nugget, of course, I have access to too many of the books, which you don't. But you always have the little
yeah.
phone call you could make, call a friend.
Oh, I
You know.
know. But you know what? NFL, I don't have such a as big of an issue as like F1,
Yeah.
because I get most of these markets. The problem is how my back alley books price them at
Yeah.
times. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. So, yeah, no, I have one book though that is awesome. It gives me basically all the lines at minus 105. Very rarely do I find a minus 110,
That's
and
great.
they're slower to take it off. So that is the beauty of the back alley books.
Yeah, that's
Um,
for sure. I used to have one guy in Ohio, and I don't anymore because everything is legal, and there's
yeah, so
20
I'm
books.
looking at the Steelers are still 2.5 here, where most places it's 1.5. Right?
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
still I can grab it at 120. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Well, with that said, let's talk about the Thursday night opener. I know the game is tomorrow.
ooh,
Travis Kelsey might be out. Chris Jones hasn't resigned. The
mhm.
hot Detroit Lions, my boys. Everybody keeps talking about them. I have been drinking the Kool-Aid, like every Lions fan has, but I'm
You
not one
have
of
to.
those Lions fans who are kind of like delusional. Oh, we're gonna win like 12, 13 games. Like it's gonna be a cakewalk. What is do you have any input on the game? Any bets? Like even if you haven't made them, just
I do.
props, anything? Yeah.
I took, as soon as the news dropped, I took the 6. I wasn't able to get 6.5, and I wasn't about to pay. And the only reason why I wanted to do that was not because I was like, oh, they're gonna definitely cover, because I knew that the line was just gonna definitely instantly shift to 4.5, which it did.
Yeah. Well,
Will it get to three? Will it get to 3.5? I don't think so. But
no.
if I'm gonna definitely, I'm just gonna slam that 3.5. I'm going for a middle,
Yeah.
and
No.
I
I
might actually
I agree.
be rooting for the Chiefs to win it by 4 because maybe I'll go a little bit more. But for now, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be shooting for that middle. Yeah, I think just having Kelsey out is definitely gonna. That's tough, man. That they do revolve their offense around it. I think that definitely is worth about a point and a half to the line.
Mm-hmm.
But and they have new receivers, right? I've been hearing they've been gelling well, like Richie James and Sky Moore and all these guys. But we've seen this countless times with the Chiefs where they're either going to come out and they're going to outclass you through basically Andy Reid's play calling, or they're just not going to be there and they don't get it until the end where they got to improvise and use some more creative plays. So I really do want to see a close game. I don't want to see a blowout.
Yeah.
And the
Same.
Lions,
This is the Lions.
I
You
don't
never
know.
know.
Like you tell me, what are the Lions going to do?
Well, that's the one thing, and if you still want to take action on the Lions line, you could still find it at plus 5.5 on FanDuel right now. I'm looking at it right this second. Most books are at 4.5. You could find it at 5.5. I did like it at 6.5. I did not get it. We talked about it for weeks now in the
Hmm.
Discord, and I do not like to take over under in that game. I do think the Chiefs are gonna win this game, and I'm on the same page as you. Patrick Mahomes is him. That's Patrick
Yep.
Mahomes. He does not need any. But yes, Travis Kelce's a key piece. But that will lead me to my bet here. It's a prop bet. I like Sky Moore over 43.5 receiving yards. Sky Moore is going to be the main target. You have Scantling there. You have Pacheco in the backfield, who is a good back who could also receive. But without Travis Kelsey, I expect Sky Moore to receive a lot of like a lot of targets. And you're asking him to get 43 yards in a game where Patrick Mahomes is projected to get 275 passing yards. Who are these passing yards going to go to? So Sky Moore's the number one receiver. I like that a lot. I do hope the Lions win for my old time's sake. But it's I'm a Lions fan and he's an opener. But I do think Chiefs
You
win
never
here.
know.
You never
You
know,
never
I
know.
guess. But
You never know. That's the beauty of the NFL.
yeah,
You might, and again, teams, good teams will lose week 1. There will always be good teams that lose week 1, but it won't matter because it's a long season, man.
wasn't it the Eagles that lost? That went 15-1 and they lost week 1 a couple years ago, and then they won the rest of the games. Or was it some? I can
I think
remember the name of the team, but
I think it was a different team, but I hope that doesn't happen again.
yeah,
God, this
yeah.
I hope
So
all the Eagles fans out there are probably going to be like, they probably turned this off as soon as they saw the Cowboys logo.
probably did, yeah.
Hey, I'll
But
be fair. I'll be fair. I think the Eagles have a great roster.
hey, Jalen Hurts is MVP caliber. He's. I love
Totally.
Jalen Hurts. I love him. I think he's a great quarterback. Um,
It sickens me because he was a Sooner and plays for the Eagles, and I'm like, that's just gross. But I like the guy. I like
yeah,
him. But why did you have to do that to me, man? Why did you have to be good with the Eagles?
yeah. But I think that Patrick Mahomes is just unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
He's gonna put up a show, and I hope it's a close game, like you said, and I hope the Lions don't get embarrassed too bad. There's a lot of buzz in the city, like right now. Everybody's talking about the Lions. Nobody cares about baseball, basketball. It's everything is about the Lions, like right now, which we don't know how to act because we have not been there. I don't think that we have had so much hype in the last 20 years I've lived in Detroit, and I've never seen that much hype. Even with the Calvin Johnson days with Matthew Stafford, this is like the most hype. And I'm not a golf lover. I do not like golf. I do not think that he's the key to bring us to the promised land. But there's lots of people who love Jared Goff, and power to them. But I hope we win. It's all I care about. So
Yeah, man. Yeah.
yeah. So well, with that said, then I guess this is fun, man. I love doing
Yeah.
this. Hope we can win some bets and keep them
Yeah,
coming, right?
and hopefully our record is clean sweep, so we just keep doing these.
Even
It'd
if
be
it's not, we're
nice.
gonna keep on doing
Oh
them.
man.
And
I'll tell you this, man. My expectations, I will I'll gladly admit this. My expectations are, I don't expect I will profit week one, even week 1 through 6. Those are always the toughest times because it's the market. You're trying to attack the market, and it may sting you quite a bit. But it's right after that when you actually get some data, you understand teams, how they're all gelling together, just like last year when we were both just on the same page, killing it throughout that time after October.
It
Maybe
was
F1 was
amazing.
also distracting. Who knows? But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I
but
totally agree because I do remember we on Discord it was like, hey, here's what I like, and then it was like an instant like boom,
I
boom,
was
oh,
like,
dude.
boom, I'm on the same thing. Let's
And
go.
then
And
we cashed, I would say like 60% of the bets, I would say, and
yeah,
that was
I
great. So
I do want to share one last thing, and I'm going to
yeah, go
share
ahead.
this before we go because I am in a weekly pick'ems that I do with other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they pay out on a weekly basis, and then at the end of the season, good money for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I got to pick all the games against the spread. And so I'm going to share what I've picked so far, and you have to lock them in by Thursday. So
All
here's what
right.
I got. And they do the lines no matter how much it changes. It will stay with what they opened at on Tuesday or whatever for CBS Sports Line.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, I have +6.5. Washington -6.5. Oh my God, I've selected Carolina, so I might change that. But I have Carolina +3.5. Cleveland +1.5. I think, like you said, they're probably going to win. Ah, man, I put Houston -9.5. Might have to change that.
You
So
mean plus
again,
nine and a
give me
half?
that feedback. Give me that feedback. If you think I should change it, I could change it.
Yeah.
Indianapolis +3.5. Pittsburgh +2.5. Minnesota 6.5. Tennessee +3.5. Green Bay +2.5. Seattle 5.5. Vegas +4.5. I picked Miami +2.5. New England +4.5. Dallas, I got your Dallas on here 3.5, and then Buffalo 1.5, which I might change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is tough with pick'ems, you know, like especially with the lines being
I
locked up
want it.
earlier in
What
the
I'm gonna
week.
do is next week, or when we do the next pod,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go through my record every week, and we're gonna always dissect it and see what was it I want more. This is
I
week one,
like it.
so let's have a little
Well,
fun, right? I know these guys, a lot of them are gonna go with the unpopular picks, so
yeah, which is maybe it's the key in NFL earlier on because, like you said, all the public will go for the Cleveland Brown. I mean the Cincinnati
be very
Bengals.
selective of
Jeez.
the public bet you're taking on. Make it worth it. Like if everyone's on the Cowboys in the way you were describing it, that might be the one that the public actually is right on, right? Public's going to be right.
Of
Let's
course,
be real.
yes.
They will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but there
don't
are some bets that are just going to be straight up like, "Oh, it's the 49ers." Hey, I'm going to bet it. Why not, you
I
know?
bet you everyone's on that 49ers right now.
Yeah, because they see the Steelers team that they're like, they're gonna kill them. Brock Purdy's back. Let's go. Like, you know, that type of deal. But I
Yeah.
don't rate him. So, all right, man. Well,
Yep.
this was fun. I guess we'll talk later and let's cash some
Yeah.
bets. All right. See ya.
Yeah. All right.